The Falls Count Everywhere podcast would like to mention our friends at the following. We Talk Wrestling, for the one stuff you need for the most intriguing stories and headlines and info on independent shows in multiple regions. We Talk Wrestling has you covered. Subscribe to Facebook's #1 interactive community for professional wrestling today. Join Shaft and General Vader every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central live on Facebook for Outside the Ring STL Throwdown Thursdays, as they bring you the inside scoop on wrestling in the St. Louis area today and relive great moments in St. Louis professional wrestling history. Before each and every show, we like to remind our audience that freedom is never free, and all of us should be grateful to those who lay it all on the line. To all our first responders, military, and volunteers that help our nation every day, we love you and appreciate the sacrifices you make to protect all of us. We're coming at you live with episode number 89 of the Falls Counts Everywhere podcast, as we welcome back the first inductee to the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame and promoter for American Championship Wrestling, The Searcher. This podcast is scheduled for one episode where falls count everywhere. Now we're having a party once again on Sunday night, everybody. And welcome to the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. It is episode number 89. We're here in about 10 to 15 minutes. We will have the Searcher join us, and we're going to be discussing a lot of very keen topics here tonight in regards to, I guess, the business of professional wrestling. And, of course, with ACW coming up and having a show here in about just under 2 weeks from now. So I am Rough Cut Rick Ruby here on the left, and to the right is, of course, this is the Gem City Mouse Zmiz. Z, why you like the little animated background?
Bro, I was going to say, how about the explosion? I didn't know we were dynamite here. God dang. Move over AEW.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Shitty jokes.
Yeah, I see that. I was about ready to say, I gave myself the moniker Dynamite when I was in high school when I was trying to, kick somebody's ass, but it usually worked.
Look at this, Ruby. You actually got it right this week.
Yay! Yes! Here we go. We got Super Bowl drama now. Game tied at 35 with 2 minutes left.
Eagles are still winning. Get over it. Cry me a river.
Yeah, Eagles probably hit a field goal at the end, so
Ooh, you heard it here first, because
that's not a spoiler. No, that's a prediction. That is a spoiler. That's not a prediction. So yeah,
let's go back up. God dang it, Ruby, stop moving.
I'm sorry.
It's not you. They're coming in fast. Sharon says hello. Willie's here.
Yeah, Willie's here. Who is actually a
Tim football sucks. Period.
Yeah, he just likes food and commercials, so go figure. I gotta give myself a good one.
Zing! It's gonna be like ting ting ting.
Hey, you want to put up that link one more time, buddy?
Yes.
Yeah. It's actually up in the beginning of the chat. You can go ahead and click on that link, which is chat.restream.io/FB. And that is giving you permission to let us see your lovely profile.
Your lovely name. So we're not saying, hello, Facebook user. How are you tonight?
Evening, Facebook user. Howdy, partner.
Are you doing good tonight, Facebook user? Because we are. So will you please go right over to // Restream IO /Facebook. Instead, we can see your beautiful names. All right, I'm done. Sorry.
Oh yeah, all they got to do is they got to go back up to the top of the chat, and they can click on that link, and they're good. And you remember, guys, you can always come back in. It's not like you're gonna be. You may be temporarily kicked off, but you can come back in, and everything will be all
Yeah,
swell and dandy.
we'll let you slide back into chat.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we would.
I was trying to make a dirty joke there.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Don't do it. All right, it would be awesome.
It's no good, guys. No good.
Oh shoot, man. Let's get right into it because we got a few things to talk about here before we get searched around here, and we've got quite a bit going on. So let's get into our few shows we've got going on here. Once again, this Saturday is unrestricted for IEW. WTW Live will be in the house.
Yes, I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to that. I should be making that show on Saturday. So
Ooh, really?
Boy who supports me here. And then of course Sid Howland will be in the house, and of course the ever dreaded next chapter of War coming in.
Yes.
So,
Yes, War.
Yeah.
Coming in and interfering again.
Illinois Elite Wrestling.ticketleap.com is where you want to get your advance tickets. If not, you'll be paying $15. Was it $15 at the door? And then of course, kids are $5. Ages 5 and under are free. So doors open at 5, bell times at 6. And
okay, I'm not going to block this because this is what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, right. Right.
I was going to show off this real quick for that show. Boom.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
You talk wrestling live, baby.
Have a look awesome on the t-shirt, just saying.
Soon. That's going to be our first t-shirt, I think.
There you go. So and we're going to come back to talk about this here. ACW will be live in St. Clair in less than 2 weeks. So yeah, we already got a couple people talking about that. So Dark Sway will be in the house on that show, and of course others here. Of course, Dan to be Severn, WWE and UFC legend, and of course UFC Hall of Famer will be in the house. Make sure you get your tickets at acwtheshow.ticketleap.com, or you can buy them at the door, $6. Oh my god, you get off.
You keep going. I gotta make sure the fans are involved too.
So anyway, I just had to. So yeah, that's going to be a great show for ACW coming back, and we're going to talk a lot more with our guests here in a little while about that. So, and then here we got the nice flowery background for Love at First Fight.
Oh yes. I'm sorry.
That's Productions.
That's probably one of the best promotional posters right now, in my opinion. Can we start doing that? Can we start doing that?
A bunch of freaking roses? Are you kidding me?
I like you, man. Can we, Ruby? I know this is gonna be off track for a minute. I think we need to get where we judge the posters, and like each month when these promotions are sending us posters, we choose our favorite of the month. Like, because these, and I know, wrestling's more than just what happens in the ring. It's every little piece of the puzzle. And the posters, man, if you can do a good classic or do a whatever this is that caught my eye and I love it, but like the poster's something to. I want to rate posters. Can I do that?
Yeah. Oh, it's not necessarily. Someone says it's going to be a dangerous game. Not necessarily. It's based on opinion. It's like a judge. It's like Star Search or whatever.
Be mad at me. I don't care. Like. I hope you still tune in to be mad at me later, too.
Don't get your panties in a bunch, okay? Oh, my God. What's next here? Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about new names that have been announced for the Fan Fest. And this is the son of Jerry Briscoe, Wes Briscoe. Now, he's going to actually be in attendance for the ceremony. It's not been confirmed if he's even going to be in the Battle Royal or if he's even going to be in action. So, even though he's in his wrestling gear here, but still, Jerry Briscoe's son will be in attendance. And big one, and for you, Z, this could
What?
be a connection that you've been talking about for some weeks.
No. Oh, yes! Buff. He's
Buff Bagwell.
He's the,
Yeah. So the stuff's in there. Well, now he's just a friendly neighbor, wearing a sweater. So
Soon.
that's what I'm saying. He's going to be in the house. We've got ways.
Oh,
We've got
just knock the
ways.
wrestler off.
Oh my God! You're knocking off your pedestal. You're knocking off your show.
Our truth went down. You know what? We'll just add to our truth right here.
I was gonna say, little Jimmy's not gonna like that very well, but
there we go. There we go.
So how about we go to and of course that's once again the Fan Fest. So it's going to be 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for what I've been told for the Fan Fest, because they have to close the ballroom and get it ready for the ceremony of the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony that will be in there. And we got to I hope our guest camera is going to be working here so I don't see the face.
No fear. Just let it go. It did that last time. It was a little red last time. It's okay.
You know, I get butterflies. Hopefully everything goes well.
I know.
But the Fan Fest for 10 a.m., the doors will open up until 5 p.m., where they will close everybody out of the ballroom, because that's when the Fan Fest, because they have to break down some tables and everything, because they got to get seats ready for the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, and also for the show happening after that. So I'm not sure how many matches are actually going to be signed, but it's mainly there for the ceremony. But at least I think at least 3 matches will be there for what I know. But visit sicw.org for tickets, and you want to get on this. Remember, so there's a ticket for the Fan Fest, and then there's a ticket for the Hall of Fame ceremony with the show. So there's 2 separate events. So at 5 o'clock, if you don't have a ticket for the show, you'll get kicked out, and you'll have to buy something else.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you'll go bye-bye now.
Thank you for coming. Keep going.
So let's talk. There's a couple things that happened last night, and I want to bring this to your attention, and I've got physical proof. So there is a show that we advertise in here religiously, and the 2 guys banter back and forth about one person getting them out of retirement. Well, apparently it happened. This is Shaft, who came out of retirement last night at an MMWA in South Broadway. So he came out of retirement last night, and apparently he was facing Mark Bland, who was a former wrestler for some time. And Mark Bland was wrestling in his first stint. I was active too. So I was on a few shows with Mark Bland as well. So there's a Shaft up on the second rope, throwing down the 10 punches. And eventually, at the end of the bell, there was your winner. Shaft with his hand raised in victory, and Mark Bland not knowing what had hit him. So he's trying to regain his confidence.
Way to go, Shaft.
So there we go. Let's see. Okay, so one more thing. We talked about the SICW returning to the Belle Claire Fairgrounds last night. You kind of wondered about the attendance. Well, here's your proof.
Wow.
They packed that room last night, boy, and it was, trust me, you couldn't get a crowd like that down at East Crown Lake Community Center, because it'd be standing room only, and then, of course, you'd be having people standing outside looking in to see what was going on. So, but great props to SICW making a big return at the Belle Claire Fairgrounds last night, and and I will say the history has been made, but not as much as we hyped on. So apparently, with some dirty tricks, the Dogtown Underground have now gotten a hold of the tag team titles, and the new champions are the LA Hustlers down there in SICW. So you're going to be wanting to tune in to see, as far as how that happened. You got to tune into SICW All-Star Wrestling in the upcoming weeks. So. But that's all I had for now.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to get it. Yeah, I'm trying to get it real quick here. Hold on.
Okay.
You can pull your window down. We'll just
I'm gonna I'm just gonna remove my window.
There's one more show that was asked. If I can get it here real fast. Where'd I put it? No!
Where is? Hold on.
Don't do that to me. That makes me nervous, man. Oh
Sorry,
my god. You ruined me. Savage, I'm trying.
We've got a score update.
Do we?
Corey, let me know if that is a final, but apparently the Chiefs went ahead 38-35. And I'm gonna actually check my sources.
Chiefs just won?
I have to check and confirm if that is the final score.
Why am I
So
not
I'm going to
finding
be
this?
checking my tickers right now. Yes, that is a final score. Chiefs win the Super Bowl 38-35.
Wow.
So 73 points scored in the Super Bowl.
So you know what's funny about that is like the whole reason I kept saying the Eagles is there was a Twitter follower that not for me but like a Twitter guy back in 2015 that predicted from there to now correctly. So I was just rolling the dice on like some guy that predicted it correctly. But here's the last show too, Ruby. It's going to take over our faces for a minute. NGW presents. Oh, you got Andrew on there now.
Yeah.
How you doing, Herb? How you doing, sir? What is it? What
Someone
day?
wants to tell a Facebook user that that's the incorrect. Start reading the right media. So
April
Eagles did
15th.
not win. The Chiefs
April
won.
15th.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. NGW is April 15th for Right to Fight.
right to fight.
So
no Beastie Boys will be attending, so it's not. So, yeah, we'll get more into that. And yeah, there was another show that apparently Luke Justice was on, and I will say that he gave me the poster last week, and I didn't show it yet because I was like, well, let's wait a little bit. But it's for March 11th. I'll look into it further. But the reason why I did not display it is because, I mean, it's a good thing I waited on it because it involves somebody who's on the front and center of that poster that had a health issue this past week, and we'll get into that toward the end of the show.
ooh.
And that may not even happen. So,
Right.
but we're gonna. Either way, we're good. I think.
Yeah, we're good to go on. We're good to get this show underway.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, we are. Sorry, I got to get things here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, we're here to get things going here, and we are about ready to bring on our featured guest of the evening. Of course, our featured guest has been in the business since 1998 and has wrestled with several and many big time names and legends that are in this business. He's a first time inductee to the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame and current promoter of American Championship Wrestling. So, without further ado, everybody, let's give it a big round of applause for the one and the only, the Searcher, everybody. Hey, boss, how you doing?
I'm good.
I have to address him as boss because that's my home promotion. I got to be nice. So
Yeah, that's right. I always liked the name boss. Everybody wants. I said something the other day. Everybody wants to be a boss, but without the responsibility. That's the best way to be a boss. Just say it ain't my fault. So,
Okay.
you guys doing good?
that's what you call an independent contractor, where you can't put the blame on anybody. You can't find the blame on anybody.
Yeah, nobody takes blame for shit. So,
right. Yeah, I get you.
Mm-hmm.
So I see the nice little background you got there with the big collage. I don't think I've seen that collage before with the ECW collage you got. Either that or maybe I just wasn't paying attention down at the dojo.
No, that's a new one, but it's for a spot. We got so many sponsors now that I have to make. I used to do a certain amount of money for sponsorship, and you get a banner like this big, and those things cost like half the money. I mean, more than half the money of the sponsorships. I was like, you know what? I'll design a 3-foot by 10-foot banner and hang them all on each side of the ring. I can fit 12, 13, up to 20 advertising banners on one big banner. And this thing here is actually all the way across the room. I just hung it a few minutes ago. If it falls down, that would be great. But it's dangling up there. But it's a lot better than the freshly painted walls in this bedroom. So. But yeah, I like it. You got to look professional. You should always look professional.
I know. I mean, I try to, we try where our studios here, so we just try to sound, superlative sexy and everything. So, if I need to, I could drop my tone a little bit.
I can't do that.
That's great, man. This is Satan. Yeah, ordering pizza. That's great, man.
Oh my gosh! Here we go.
Talk about a suck up.
Did you know that you were anybody's hero?
Who's me?
Yeah, apparently. Apparently, says Searcher is my hero.
Who says this?
Mr. Tim Johns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's my hero too. So, but yeah.
I don't even know how I feel about this conversation going now.
I like having a hero every once in a while with some pepper jack cheese and some mayonnaise. So,
God, terrible.
That's terrible.
I know. Sorry.
Hey, I tell you what's exciting about the game I was watching, the fact that Michael Keaton's coming back as Batman. That's about the only thing I found exciting. So,
yeah, that commercial clipped out on me, and it sounded like Keaton, but I wanted to make sure if it was Michael Keaton.
And they even pulled back the tarp on the old car. It was awesome. So I barked
Keaton
out.
is coming back as Batman, the best one ever. I don't care.
Dude, I didn't watch anything to do with the Super Bowl. I was playing Ark.
I like football, and we ate a bunch of stuff and we watched it. But honestly, in my day, the football players were huge. These guys are, even the linesmen are like kind of smaller guys. I haven't watched football in a long time, but when that commercial came on, it was Flash, which I've never seen any of this Flash. But then I'm like, is that Batman? And then I was like, is that Michael Keaton? And so yeah, that was pretty cool. I thought that's pretty cool. So I have to go see a Flash movie now, which I'm not a Flash fan, but there we go.
Oh wait. Okay, we're talking wrestling, not because I want to go nerdy now because I am a massive Flash fan.
Yeah, I hear it's good and stuff, but I haven't seen it. But it's going to be cool. They bring Keat back. Oh man, he looked good. It looked great. I thought.
So this is the first Flash film of the DC live action in a long time. The older ones that they did, but CW did an excellent Flash series there. That was amazing. And then there's so many. If you have HBO Max, there's so many of the DC animated series stuff that just is stupid crazy, and Flash is freaking awesome.
What was the Warner Brothers one? Did that have Mark Hamill in it? Didn't he play a bad guy in the Flash?
That's in one of the animated series ones because he's Joker.
No, I know that, but I thought he did in Flash. I thought he was a bad guy I don't know. I may.
We can need an answer here in a minute, and then Ruby, you can continue on with actually wrestling knowledge and stuff. But Tim, put it in there. Tim, you're a resident nerd, sending nerdy memes that none of one gets. But so he played Taskmaster.
No, Trickster.
Trickster. My bad.
That's
my bad.
See, yeah,
Trickster.
Yeah, I knew he did something. I thought that was cool. I thought for a while
was on the CW one.
I thought that's what it was. I thought so.
Man, I have to go back and rewatch it. That's one of my favorite series. And Arrow.
Yeah. So.
All right, now we got the nerd out of the way. Go ahead.
The nerds are going to come back anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
It was, by the way, it was.
We start talking Star Wars, and then it's all over. So okay.
I just started Obi-Wan today.
Stop! It's terrible.
He wasn't looking.
Don't watch anymore. Oh, the second episode I couldn't take no more. Disney, if you're watching this, Disney, jump off a cliff, please. You're killing everything when it comes to Star Wars. Stop.
Oh no, I really like the Bad Bunch.
I haven't. Man, I just can't even bring myself to. I don't know. I don't want to get negative. It must be popular to somebody, so why? I'm not going to bash it, but I'm a
The Bad Bunch isn't bad. Same here. I just found the VHSs. Thank you, Sid Holland.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that surprised me lately that came out was The Last of Us, the TV show, the show, really effing good. I was surprised by that. And the fact that, Mandalorian can survive in that world too is pretty cool. So
I like Mandalorian,
yeah. Pedro Pascal, I think,
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool, very good. So there's something to watch on TV again. So
that's
All
a
right.
fact.
All right, I'm going to take a little sip here. So,
Ruby, what do you like?
Get out of here with your Star Wars is lower IQ crap. So much for Searcher being your hero, John.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tim just threw that away.
He's a big Star. Look, he's a big Star Trek fan, and his biggest thing is he gets turned on by Spock's ears, and he knows that's why he likes it. Well, yeah.
I mean, live long and prosper. I'm all about it. Like, God.
I offered him $500 to put on a Star Trek outfit with the Spock ears and take a picture. I would do that, but because he would look absolutely great. I would send it to William Shatner, and that's the day Shatner would probably end up having a heart attack finally because. Good
Here's
Lord.
the funny thing about that. My dad's a huge Star Trek fan, right?
And I love Star Trek.
Star Trek was cool to me, but like it couldn't get any cooler because my dad worked on the road doing staging and lighting for concerts and stuff and was a sound engineer and whatnot. So I didn't see him much, but he brought back this VHS tape of him at Universal Studios where him and like the crew did a Star Trek episode basically. And my dad gets his ass beat by this little kid on it. And he's a Klingon. And that's my favorite episode. Like there's never going to be anything cooler. So anything that's made is not cool.
Was on an episode?
No. So Universal, they did like
They did like a live show.
Like an 8-minute thing. And my dad and them paid for it and did it. My Uncle Jack was the Klingon captain. And he's like, totally trash. It's horrible acting, but it was amazing to me to see my dad be a Klingon, and there's no cooler episode to me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just also another thing about Star Trek, if people were big fans, I cannot remember. I think it's after Star Trek, but oh man, I shouldn't even brought it up because I can't remember the names and stuff now. But it's on YouTube. But basically, the episodes of the original series. These people went and recreate sets. They got a guy playing Captain Kirk just looks exactly like him, acts like him. A guy playing Spock. They got Scotty's son in it. But the episodes that we know from the original series, it's as if when the credits stopped, these episodes started. You should really watch it. Man, I can't remember the name of it, but just go look it up on YouTube. So, but it's just like after Star Trek or something like that. It's pretty good stuff, but I like Star Trek. I'm a Star Wars guy. I like that a lot, but I like the three first movies before, I wasn't a big fan of the prequels and stuff like that. I like a lot of things, but older I get, I hate everything. So there you go. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Right.
Kind of like my wrestling. I like old style wrestling. I like the old stuff. So. But who am I?
I'm just a junkie.
And the world needs junkies.
It's not because of our ages either. It's just I guess what we grew up on and then what we're watching now, and it's like
See, I love it all. Like I can go watch old matches with like Bruiser Brody and all those guys and all the cats that you'd think that era, like just the brawlers and stuff, and it's beautiful, it's great. But then there's I want to see a true mixture of the two worlds to finally come together, and like because I've always been a fan of luchador wrestling. That's why I stayed with WCW for so long, was because of the luchador over there just killing it and stuff. So
well,
hardcore is still something I don't really get into too much.
I tell people all the time, they say, why is your show successful? Why do you keep getting more and more people every time at the same towns? And I say to people, because I look for wrestlers. I have a training center. I have a company where I try to get new talent to come in. In the old days when me and Ruby got into it, everyone loved wrestling. Everyone watched it. And then you could go up to anyone and say, you want to wrestle? And they're like, oh, yeah, I want to. Now you go up to a young person and you say, hey, do you watch wrestling? And most of the people say, no, they do not. And that's tough. I wish the business was doing better. People make that argument that they make more money today, but it's not as popular. The house shows are nil. And that's what people don't understand is the WWF and WCW, ECW, AWA, any company you can think of in the past, they made their money off the house shows. That's a heck of a lot of money and a heck of a lot of people coming to see your product. When today, AEW, NWA, WWE, their attendance is completely in the tank. But they make money because of the network and they're a TV production company. I mean, they got board members and all. So yeah, maybe they got the money, but I don't think the heart and soul's in it. So, and there's no one to be relatable. All my wrestlers, take Ruby. There's some guy sitting in the audience looking at his wife say, look at this guy. This guy, I told you I could still do this. Look how good he is. Everybody should have somebody that is relatable to someone in the audience. I just don't think many people are related to people who try to look perfect bodies, act perfect, have no life experience, and they all just want to be the next Rock. They don't relate to anyone in the audience except for the smarts and marks. But who am I? I'm just these marks, these dark. That's all I am. So what am I? So.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and kick off our questions here since we're talking about the business here. So I'll go ahead and kick it off here and kind of explain to all of us that why respect being a two-way street in the business is vitally important to someone making it in the wrestling business.
You mean like got somebody coming up new?
It could be new. It could be those who are in a few years. It could be someone who's gone into 10 years. Really, at least my aspect, you need to have it while you're in this business entirely. So, that's me anyway.
Well, the deal is it's funny. I was talking to Attila Khan. I was at a Herb Simmons Christmas party, a very extravagant, awesome Christmas party. I mean, Elvis showed up. It was great. I can't imagine how much money he spent on that thing, but it was pretty awesome. But I was talking to Attila Khan, and we were talking to a couple of young people that were there, and he looked at me and he looked at the young guys, and he said, it's funny. What these guys don't understand today is, and when we got into the business, everyone in that locker room was an alpha male. Nobody asked you how you feel. Nobody cared if you got hurt out there. Nobody cared if you were potatoed 8 times. Nobody cared if you got hurt. I mean, I remember Scott Michaels' cousin down at Memphis Power Pro was doing TV down there. He was so beat up because he had some match with somebody the night before where he was literally black and blue, beat up, and could barely move. They carried him in, and he went out and he did this fantastic match, and then he's basically carried back to the back again, and he's in a heap in the corner, and I don't remember anybody going over and helping him undo his boots, asking him if he's okay, anything. When I was on TV down there, my bone stuck out of my shoulder, completely destroyed it on live TV. I still on the TV sheet, I still had 45 seconds to a minute at the end of the show. And I opened the show. So I had to sit back there and pretend I was okay. No one cared if I got hurt. Nobody cared if nobody said, "Hey man, your time is coming. You're going to get the belt one day, or you should win tonight. You should go over tonight. Oh, the fans really like you." Nobody said that stuff. It was a real alpha male, you were out for yourself. If you fell behind, you stayed behind type of business. And today, I got guys going around telling people, well, you need to go around the locker room and shake everybody's hand, and you need to give them the the Carney Cafe hand, and you need to do this and that, and you need to offer your chair to. I've come in and I have come into. I've seen so many things in independent wrestling locker rooms where some guy's telling me that's never been anywhere, has never done anything, that this is the way it should be. And then I've been in locker rooms with legends that I grew up watching as a kid, and I didn't see any of that shit. I didn't see any of it. So it's the respect thing of today is basically keep your mouth shut and do your job. Your time's going to come. If no one, in my day, Sabu told me this personally. Don't sing your own song. If you're good enough, when you walk through the locker room, everybody else will be singing it for you. But today, you walk in, it's like a choir. I once hung out with, such and such. Most of the wrestlers that say today, I don't even know who they are. But, I'm friends with him, and I was on a car with him, and he gave me his number, and somehow he told me I'm special. The other day, I was online, and I talked to this guy, and that, who gives a, can you work? Do you know how to get over? Can you get your opponent over? And that's where the respect is. You should just have respect. If the promoter tells you to do something, he's not going to tell you to do something to make you look bad, because if you look bad, he looks bad. And he does, he's not a good promoter. The booker's not going to book you to make you look bad or him look bad, because if he does, he's a bad booker. So the respect thing is shut up and do your job and realize this is a man's sport and a woman's sport, and you need to just do what it takes to get over with the crowd. And that's hard to find these days, except for in my federation. But I don't know. It's trying. It's trying.
So all that aside, and having the two-way street, actually just having respect. Period. It doesn't just do it. Don't talk about it.
Good.
Just be it. But with that being said, what if somebody fibs about, how they got or where they got? What does that look like, and how do you approach those situations? You're going to be probably a hard nose about it, and I respect that.
You know what? I see that not just in wrestling. I meet people every day that just lie and say they know stuff or have done stuff, which. And I'm not here to say, I'm not here to go. In my life, you're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of wasted time if you try to figure out, is that guy telling me the truth or not? And now in wrestling, it used to be a real big deal to not lie about where you've been and what you did, but except unless you were with fans. If you got a gimmick and they just said you're from Tampa, Florida, and you just came in on a Lear jet, and a fan comes up to you and he says, Johnny Diamond, you're the greatest. What's it like to live in Florida? And can I get a ride on your jet? You're going to ruin that kid's night or whoever if you go, oh, my name's not Johnny Diamond. It's actually Rick. And I drove here in a Pinto, and I live in a van down by the river. Yeah, that's
Yes.
not.
Yes.
That's not what you want to do. But what you don't want to do is sit in the locker room with the boy and drop names so much to where it looks like, it's a who's who laying all over the floor. Every locker room I go into, it's like, when I used to cage fight and wrestle in my town, everyone knew me. In the Franklin County and all around, people would see me on TV, and a lot of times at Walmart, people would look at me like, is that my cousin? Because they're kind of looking at me like, hey, don't I know you? And I'm like, maybe. And then they go, wait a minute, are you that guy? Are you Rhino? And I'm like, no, I'm not Rhino. I was on TV, but they would say, oh yeah, I saw you on TV. The deal is guys would also know that I'm a wrestler, and I also did cage fighting and all this kind of stuff. So I would go to my kid's soccer game, and I would be walking up, and the fathers would be talking about, like a soccer mom, how hot she was or something like that. And I would stand there for a few seconds, and the next thing I know, I would hear, well, I got in a fight the other night in the parking lot, and I beat this guy so bad. I black out every time. I'm the baddest thing that ever walked the planet. And the same with, and I'm sitting there going, after a while, I realized they're doing this for me because they want to like fit in. Like they think that's all I care about is beating people up or wrestling 24 hours a day when I'm at my child's soccer game. It's not,
No, you're looking at the
but
soccer moms.
yeah,
Let's be
exactly.
real.
Exactly. But it's so true. But when I'm in the locker room, I ask people, as a promoter now, when I get requests all over the country for people to come in to wrestle for me. And they always write up. First of all, guys, if you're looking for work, don't start with what you need from me. You need $150, trans, and a hotel room. Don't start with that because there's a thing called negotiating in wrestling. The deal is you got to be marketable. If I've got four guys like Brian James, we all know Brian James, right? If I've got another guy or two guys that look just like Brian James, well, someone's getting lost in that. You know what I'm saying? So I can't have guys that look exactly the same and all that. And I can't have the same thing repeated over and over again. But also, for some reason, guys have this huge ego. Like I did a lot of stuff in my career. I got to travel the whole country. I got to go all over. I wrestled just about every name I ever wanted to name. I wrestled for companies. I don't know how it even happened sometimes. It was awesome. I had one of the greatest careers, TV, uh, you know, everything. But I feel I didn't make it because I didn't, you know, I wasn't like I didn't have a program with The Rock or a program with Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Undertaker and all that kind of stuff. To me, if you were in the business for 5 years on TV and you made money and a lot of people knew your name, you made it. I was just a worker, and I was lucky. I know guys that's never left Illinois for the last 25 years and have only worked for one or two companies locally, and they may have went to Kansas City or Chicago one or two times. And when I'm sitting there with them, they got bigger stories and done more than when I've sat around with Road Dogg or Booker T or Van Dam or Bob Orton. I'm sitting there going, well, fuck, I've never heard of you, but apparently you're the greatest thing that's ever come into wrestling. And I mean, they're full of it, but at the same time, what can you do? What talent? And then you watch them wrestle, and you just sit there and go, you don't even know how to work a match. You don't even have you don't even know what carpenter means. You don't know how to carpet. You don't know how to put a match together. You don't know how to get yourself over. You don't know that you need to listen to the promoter or the booker because he has an ideal for you what to do. So much in this area is show up. Who do you want to wrestle? I want to wrestle my buddy, or you're going to wrestle him. Well, what are we going to do? Whatever you guys want. I just want him to go over. And they think that's booking. That's not booking. That's just putting a match together and, a show together that has, no real rhyme or reason to it.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Why are you wrestling? That's what I say all the time. When matches go on, I go, that's another thing, bud. I don't mean to cut you off, but that's another thing. A federation's got problems when they got lots of belts. Your booker's not very good, and he doesn't have control of the locker room. Because if you got a good booker and you got control of your workers, there's only one heavyweight championship that matters. So the fans go, oh, that's the real guy. He's got the big belt, and he's on later. And there's only tag team champions. Oh, those are the tag champions, and those guys going against it. And there's a ladies championship. If you have anything like a lightweight, interstate, if everyone on the card has a belt, why would anybody after? It's just like I say about being naked. You go on a beach, at 10 minutes of a naked beach, you're like, man, look at all these hot chicks and stuff. 10, 15 minutes, it's just another naked person. You devalue your titles by having too many titles. And what does that do? That means the booker can't control his locker room, and he's got a bunch of crybabies that want titles and all that kind of crap.
Okay. Well, hold on. As somebody that all of my favorite wrestlers, like, of course, I've liked the big names. Don't get me wrong. I was a Stone Cold fan. I was a Hogan fan at one time. Like all this stuff. I love the big names too. But I've always been a very big fan of like that secondary workhorse title. That like the guys that never get, So is that title really negated that much? Because we all love the main event. I want to know who's winning. I want to see Roman Reigns go over this guy. Like that kind of concept, or Hogan or Stone Cold, right? But the workhorse title has always been something very special in my eyes, even though tag team is my favorite.
Well, I think what you're talking about is the days when they mattered. You're talking like an intercontinental title, or you're talking like the U.S. title, or you're talking like a TV title.
A good TV title.
Yeah. And usually they were put on and feuded between the two guys that the promoters or the booker was trying to decide who was going to go next for the big belt. Because if you can draw with that mid-Carter belt, which I'm sorry, but that's what those were. But if you could draw money doing that, chances are with the right other worker, you could draw even bigger money with the big belt,
Respectfully so,
why,
right?
Yeah, and do you know why the Intercontinental? I'm gonna awaken people of this. People need to realize, because I do too. Everybody has fond memories of the Intercontinental title in the WWF because it was so popular. Because Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man and all these guys, held that belt. And really, some of the greatest matches were fought over that belt. The first ladder match, all that stuff. And that really was because Hogan was never dropping that world title. So there were and a lot of that TV was important. And I don't need to tell you guys this because you're stewards of wrestling, but Hogan at most house shows would wrestle third match, be done and over with, because the title was only really seen on TV. So the real workhorses was the house shows. That's where they made their money. And to keep the fans happy, they saw Hogan, who was this huge champ, and then you had that secondary championship that was so important. And the WWF was very lucky. Vince was able to have the perfect cash cow in Hogan, and he just fed him, monsters. But that Intercontinental title, he could do what you normally would do with your heavyweight title, which is pass it back and forwards and feud over it. He never wanted to take the title off Hogan because Hogan must pose. And dude, he was money. I don't understand people that hate Hogan. If I was on a card, every guy I ever known that worked for Hogan talks about how much money they made. Even the ones that hate his guts, they still talk about how much money they made with him. So him on top is what it's all about. But we don't have that in independence, bud. I have 6 matches on my shows. That's it. Because I try to get my show, down to 2 hours. I don't have to do that. So I don't have to need an Intercontinental title or or whatever. But it's just, that's the whole deal with that. It's just it's not needed anymore. You don't need a 3-hour, 4-hour show with everybody with a title. You don't, do you?
No.
Oh man, my philosophy is just go to a recital at Christmas time for your kid, your cousin, your uncle, whatever. And the kid's sitting down there and he's playing and it's Christmas time and it's great. But after about 45 minutes to an hour, your ass starts hurting in the bleachers or the chairs. And you're like, dude, I love Christmas. This is great. But then all of a sudden you're just like, I just want this to fucking end. And think about the wife that is dragged to wrestling. If she's sitting there and she didn't want to come in the first place, if you got a good quality show, she's going to go, this is not bad. Yes, Jim, we need to come back. But if you take it longer than 2 hours, she's forgot the good times she had because her ass hurts. So you've lost them. I mean, how many times have you been in a federation where you're a champ and you are in the main event? I'm the main event, yeah. And then you go out there and you go, hey, brother, where's all the fans? Well, they're tired. They went home. So short shows. I say people all the time about matches too. Half these guys don't even work out. I mean, they're not. Let me tell you something, brother. You're not eating your butter and drinking your coffee, but you should be. But they're not doing that. They're sitting around on their couch watching TV, and then I got a show this weekend, and they don't have much cardio. So, but they're still maybe good workers. Don't go out there and try to do 15 minutes because it's a bunch of laying around, kicking and punching and breathing. Go out there, do shorter matches, and don't put everything you got. Leave some for later. But what do I know? I don't know.
Well, yeah, we all can't have Luke Justice's mom going right 24 hours right after birth. Like, come on, man. My wife, I'm lucky. I got a great wife that likes to go to shows with me, so we can sit through and she watches Raw, SmackDown, whatever. So
Yeah,
I got lucky.
yeah. I mean, and that's fine. But in my business, like what I do, I don't go after marks. I go after I don't go after smarts. I go after marks. And you guys in the biz, I don't know why I'm talking kayfabe because most people shouldn't know this. I hate when people anymore. People just kayfabe is for the locker room and the ring. It's not really for the like somebody said. My work job is this. And this. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Your work job? Your work? Because it's like ordering a latte with milk. You just repeat it yourself. Do you know that, right? You know what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to say is that just the business is about bringing in regular, real fans. Guys like you are going to go to anything because you love it hardcore. But a guy like me, for me owning my federation, I've got to bring in the gas station guy, the grocery woman, the paper guy, the kid that hasn't watched wrestling in a long time, but it's cheap tickets, and what could go wrong? It's only $6, and then you go and have a good time, and the next thing you know, we got a town with 620 people when it started with 200 people. And it's an old time thing. If you got a show and you got 150 people to 250 people the first show, anyone can have a good first show. But that second show, if it drops off drastically to 100, and then third show is like down to 40 or 50, there's no other problem but two things: promotion, you're not promoting it, or you don't have a very good show. And that's everybody talks about the business, but nobody wants to be business like. Hey man, I want to be champion. I'm a worker, and I'm old school, and I know everything about the business, and I want to be champ. Well, you're not ready to be champ. Your gear is terrible. Your gimmick is terrible. You're not over with the crowd, and every time I ask you to go down, you tell me no because your mom or dad or sister or brother or friends are out there, and you don't want to look weak in front of them. Can't we do another count out, dude? I can't work with that. So it's about the bit. Everybody wants to call it a business, like Kevin Nash said, until people start treating it like a business. So,
well, so I mean, continuing on to the business side of this. So obviously, you've had a remarkable in-ring career. Now you knew when things were coming out to the end. This is when you were coming up with your concept of ACW, American Championship Wrestling. And I mean, I could truly say, I mean, at least from my standpoint, I mean, I love being at the shows because I love the work ethic of what you do, and then um, all the other how the fans enjoy it. So, I mean, so we also see some other wrestlers who retire, but then they just want to get in as a promoter. So for those who are successful inside the ring, and then when they retire, they try to get into the promoting business, and I see a lot of them not thrive. So why why are they having a hard time succeeding as a promoter when they were successful inside the ring?
why? But they were successful in the ring.
They were successful in the ring, but when they try to promote it, just you know,
Well, being being I just was talking this to one to train. I train today. I train every Sunday. I teach. I got a ring down here, and I was teaching today. For some reason, my lower back is as stiff as a mother. I was taking bumps down there, and man, it's killing me right now. But I was just talking to. I know. I know. I know. But anyhow, I was just talking about this. When I got into business, I was starstruck by the idea of being in the business. And my initial first response when I first watched the first independent show was, these guys are not very good at what they're trying to do. And so then I got into the business and I got to be friends with these guys. So I started putting the blinders on. It doesn't matter that they weren't very good and weren't very trained. I like these guys. So then but then I real quickly, like, I think 3 months, it took me 3 months to get into business. I did security about 3 months and then I got into it. But roughly 8 months into business, I was, hired to go to other states and wrestle for other bigger federations. And it was completely different. Like, these guys were what I see on TV. And some of them were the guys working on TV. And it was a total different animal. It was very professional, very, very, we didn't set things up. Like, I've always set stuff up as far as matches, but most federations I went to that were really good, those guys, you just worked when you went out there. The fans like clothesline, give them another clothesline. But they were so much better. So then I came back here and I kept working for companies, and they all weren't very good. But they all, God, man, I was talking to my new commissioner, Derek Teeter, nothing neater, Derek Teeter. He's the new commissioner of ACW. But I was talking to him, and I said, one of the biggest problems I had when I first got into business was I met guys that have been in the business 15, 20 years that never really went anywhere and never really wrestled good and couldn't wrestle good. And their matches weren't over, and the fans weren't over. They didn't like them, and it just wasn't very good. But they wanted me to treat them as if they were veterans from some sort of great career they had. And I had to do this a lot. I had to treat people that weren't very good in this business, but because they had been in the business where they've never really done anything in it, never really did TV, never made money, never went anywhere, I had to treat them as if they were really something special. And they never taught me anything. They never really helped me out. They used you. They hurt you. They didn't know how to get you over, much less get themselves, so they would just punch you and kick you for real. And they thought that was getting them over. And I'm like, this is not right. So I came back and I go, the only way this is going to work is if I take what I learned outside of Missouri and make my own. And that's when MPW came along. And so I think I was in the business 3-4 years, and I was booking, and I was, writing shows, and I was writing TV. I was filming spots. I was doing all kinds of stuff, but I was really just learning because, man, I would go and work on these shows. Like Harley Race was the first World League when it was owned by Carl Lawler, was the first TV show I really did. I didn't know that they did 6-7 hours of shows, and each one of them was individual shows. I didn't know if you brought like Haku in or Ricky the Dragon and all that stuff. They were there just for one day, but on TV they were there for a month. I didn't know that, so I took that and ripped it off, and I think that's the problem with wrestlers. You got to, Dusty Rhodes said, to be a booker, you got to know how to put matches and storylines together. But to be a successful booker, you got to have the big picture. And the big picture is not today and tomorrow. It's 5-6 months down the road. And a lot of wrestlers that become bookers and promoters, they're still out there 5-6 times a night. They make themselves champion. The worst is when you make yourself a champion, you own the federation, or you're the booker, or if you're a booker and you're a manager and you're out there 18 times, or you're out in the main event, that's probably not good for the company because you're using the company just to make theirself. That's the deal. Most bookers and most wrestlers that become promoters and bookers still book everything are wrapped around themselves. They're not the superstars that they think they are. So I haven't even wrestled on an ACW show. And I mean, That's the problem. That's the problem is they still got big egos and they don't even know it. When you got to see a young guy and put a young guy or woman, and you got to hang your federation on them. You know what I'm saying? You got to put that belt on them in a way it means something, and you got to like trust in them to please the fans. Now you're going to help them by booking and writing and stuff, and age it. That's another thing no one did down here till me. I age it my matches. Some call it producing, but I tell them what to do. Because a lot of guys don't know how to put a match together very good. It just gets jumbled, and I'm not saying I'm saying that, hey, a lot of you guys don't know what you're doing, but you're never going to listen to anybody, and that's what's hurt you in this business. So that's the problem.
I could listen to Searcher and Herb all day talk about wrestling because this is exactly how I feel as a young guy. I'm on this side.
Oh yeah, like I said, I mean, this is some awesome and great stuff to even listen to and get best, like I said, best informational advice from Searcher, and of course, Herb Simmons gives great advice as well, and you know, just some great stuff. And we're gonna actually go into some other great stuff here with our favorite segment of the evening, or at least it's one of mine that I love here.
This is dear to my heart too.
So yeah, here we go. It is Wrestling's Golden Meme. Yeah, baby, we are getting ready to throw down some Wrestling Gold memes. And tonight, Wrestling's Gold Meme is brought to you by the best blockbuster to come out in a long time, that will debut WrestleMania weekend. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is The Last of Us with a Jey Uso and a Sami Zayn.
Hey, it's a good show. You already said it was.
Yeah, it was a great show. So, Last of Us, so that's great. So let's get on to some other. I mean, I love the artwork there. It's just
that's great artwork. That is really good.
I mean, the way that Sammy's head to be just perfect.
It's good. Yeah, it looks like episode 3. So.
Oh,
I just can't quit you.
How about we kick it off with this one? Bray Wyatt.
I did that in Vegas. That's good.
DDP or being a
I'm not quite sure. That was a really good. I don't even know what happened, but that guy, made the meter, go off. But where is he now?
He's not making the meter go off as much.
Yeah. Well, they killed him, didn't they?
That's what a lot of people. Okay, so I'm not a booker. I'm a new guy, 4 or 5 years in, and learning so much from you and Herb and some others. But the one thing people are like, the fans specifically, because I deal with the backside of like the marks and smarts and all that stuff, whatever you want to say. But they're so like adamant about Bray and all those guys and Karrion Kross and LA Knight getting like their spots right now. That's not the point. Like, let the build happen. There's a lot of rebuilding that needs to be done because of certain things that happened or the fact they got released and came back, guys.
Yeah. Let that story pan out. I mean, you got TV like this, man. You could do that for a year and make money off of it. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's done right, but we'll see if it's going to be done right. But
I'm enjoying it.
But it's just my opinion.
Is it better? I haven't watched it. Is it better?
So talking wrestling now as a whole, WWE to me has gotten better. There's a lot of great points. There's still a lot of things that are kind of running flat. Roman Reigns holding the title as long as he has, I think, has been the best damn thing for the business today, because it's made that title mean so much, or those titles mean so much more. And then the likes of Sami Zayn and Cody and how they're coming around with that storyline, building to this like kind of perfect storm for certain things. is great. And then you add in my favorite, Jey Uso, into it, and it's just beautiful. But then you have Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, and all those guys kind of doing stuff over here for the U.S. title, and it's just phenomenal. Vice versa, you have over here they're rebuilding the IC title on SmackDown, and it's great. So I just think there's a lot of rebuilding that has to be done. Like, that's it. Coming out of 2020, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Since you're a big wrestling, I can tell. Is there a day of the week you go, man, I wish I could watch wrestling, but there's not a day of the week where you can't watch wrestling, is there?
Well, I don't watch Impact as much as I would like because I don't have a way to do it on Thursday nights. But no, that's for me. I'm telling everybody, I don't care. Wrestling is my crack, 100%. I live, breathe. Like, when I was a kid, wrestling is what got me away from all the shitty things. And I just loved it, wanted more about it, wanted to learn every nook, cranny, how the gears worked. Like I said, listening to you, Herb, in the past and several others, like, I'm a sponge. Teach me. I want to know the ins and outs and how to make it survive and keep going and bring. I wasn't lying to you when I said I have no resume. I started a Facebook group for my 10 friends. Now we have 2,000, I think, people on there. Not even trying. I just enjoy wrestling and wanted to share that. And I'm here. So I'm along for the ride. Let's do it. Teach me the ways so I can bring the old and the new together and make fucking wrestling cool. And I mean every word I just said.
That's good. That when you can make something out of nothing, that doesn't come with doing nothing. So you mean you worked for that. So you should be very proud of that. That's great.
Oh, very much so. And even more now that you said that. So yes, but like, let it burn, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you know, we actually got more of these.
Sorry.
And now back to memes. No, man, it's great stuff. I mean, great stuff. Don't mind that at all. But
I will agree. I really agree with this too. Actually,
there you go. Yeah, or saturation. Yes, I agree. So all you single guys, single wrestlers out there, you can catch a girl's attention, and if you hit the big time, hey, she whispers to her friends, hey, he brings home 6 figures a month. And this is what they mean.
I feel attacked. I feel attacked.
That's terrible. Because there's a lot of stuff I spend, stupid stuff I spend money on.
Yeah, but that's great.
What are those girls? 7? You would think they would want to play with little figures and shit. Damn, they're too young. God, I'm getting old. So
some great stuff. And as a history lesson here to be learned here, that anesthesia was invented in 1846. Did you know that?
What?
But this is what doctors did in 1845.
God, I love that feud, man. That was so cool. Andre, because Andre, when can you imagine? He's always been like the popular guy, and then Vince goes to him and says, hey boss, will you put Hogan big time over? I think this be time to do it. Here's what's amazing is Andre was such a great heel in that when he grabbed Hogan that first time on Piper's Pit, and his nail cut Hogan's chest, and he did. Those guys got less is more. Like Andre didn't pick him up and throw him through the wall and power bomb him off the stage. No, he ripped his shirt off and his cross, and then walked out. I mean, God, Les is great. I mean, that was great. That was really a great time in wrestling.
Yeah,
Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite pictures.
Yeah.
I think we got one more here. One more. Yeah, me coming out of the bathroom after the exceptional.
The shiniest of bathrooms.
That's right. Feel good about yourself.
Oh, I almost said something terrible there. As a wrestler, you go into a lot of restaurants, and I've realized that Chinese buffets have the nastiest bathrooms. I
And the
don't know what
coldest.
happened. Oh yeah, yeah. There's one, and I think
The
was that
cleanest soy sauce.
Alton? It was. I was in there taking a piss, and I'm telling you, I could see my breath, and I'm just like, man, this is not good.
It doesn't matter if it's wintertime or 100 degrees in the summer. They have the coldest bathrooms.
Oh my god! And I love the ones where they got the rap music that's in Chinese. God, that's great stuff, man. So,
I never heard Chinese rap before. I
oh
heard
well,
Chinese pop, but not Chinese rap.
come to Washington, Missouri, you get a whole lot of it. So,
Chinese rap.
I don't know how to say for shizzle in Chinese. So.
me how sheer. No, that's no. It's so funny because I know how to say hi and thank you. That's me how sheer in Cantonese and Chinese, and it's so funny because the dialect is so bad. If you want to make any Chinese waitress laugh, say sheer because they know you're saying thank you, but you're so butchering it in your American tone that they always giggle. And I used to be offended by it, but now I'm like, well, I'm gonna tell this girl a joke and I'll say, me how sheer. They'll laugh every time. Everybody's like, what'd you say to her? And I'm like, oh, it's a real good joke. I can't tell you. It's in Chinese though. But it's just they're laughing at me because my accent on that is so bad.
Apparently, there's no change to it. You can see
What is that?
What is that?
shizzle in English is shizzle in Chinese Taiwan.
He searched it.
I try to use
Particular- it's a little bit of carny too, So is Mark for sizzle? Never mind. Okay.
I would hate to hear some Chinese gang slang, but it's neither here or there. Oh, so that is it for the golden memes this week. So we are removing that, and we are getting back. And I think Zach has our next question.
So looking back on like 2020, closer to the end, you had a couple shows booked, and then unfortunately had to cancel, and things came up for some of those shows. Now coming into 2023, we're coming up to your first show. So how did that thought process go about the cancellation and like, hey, we're going to continue forward? Or like, was there anything down about it, or what was the comeback plan?
Well, the reason the shows were canceled was because at the time, the doctors had found a mass in my wife, and for a long time there, it was basically she was going to die, and all I wanted to do was be with her. Wrestling is a love of mine, and it's made me very happy. I don't just have wrestling. I have a lot of things that I do. I have a lot of people. I have like several different lives. Me and Herb talk about that sometime. It's like we have completely large groups of friends and business partners that don't even know. Like I play blues music, and where I've been going lately, none of them know I was a wrestler. None of them even know I own a federation. They just think I'm just some guy that shows up and embarrasses himself. I have businesses that I'm involved in, and those people and committees and stuff, and I don't talk about wrestling or anything. But the one thing I talk about in my wrestling world, my business world, my music world, every world I'm involved in is my family. And when I thought I was going to lose her, I just knew that I had to take care of her, and I had to cancel those shows because I could not focus on anything but her. So then we went into her surgery, which was way worse than it was supposed to be. She had surgery on a Monday, and my daughter, Miss Hyde, She had a very big match. It was the last one. Well, no, I think I canceled 2 shows, Jerseyville and I think Melville. But we had a show in Washington where she had a I Quit match. We had 3 matches. She had it with Justin main event. She had a match where it was just straight, where whoever, it was best out of 2 out of 3 matches, and Justin had won one, or Vaughn had beat him in one, and then they had a first blood match, and the Chipster cheated, but Justin won the second one. So the third one was an I Quit match where the Chipster, which was Justin main event's manager, was on the outside with his towel, and I was on the outside with my towel. And my daughter took like 43 chair shots. This is a girl. This is a young lady. She took 43. You can watch the video. 43 chair shots that night. It was a brutal match, and they cheated. They just plain and simple. And there was no way she was going to get out of that. And with my emotions, with my wife about to have surgery that next Monday, I just couldn't see any more pain inflicted on my daughter too. So I threw in the towel, and she lost match. Well, then, for some reason, she gave me the kiss of death, which is her version of the stunner, and it's a good one. She got me good, but she broke her wrist so severely coming down. We still don't. The video, we still don't understand how it happened. But she broke her wrist, shattered it, to where my wife had the surgery on Monday, and Vaughn, she was supposed to take care of her for like 2 weeks. Well, she had surgery on that Tuesday, and there was a chance she would never ever be able to have that hand right again, or wrestle, or anything. It was a real bad time, but it turned out good with Val. With my wife, it turned out good. They got a softball size. They said it was muscle mass. I don't know what the hell that really, why something grow. The human body is amazing and also weird at the same time. But she's fine. And then Miss Hyde, she got a big plate put in her wrist, and unfortunately, we don't have the greatest relationship right now. Christmas wasn't the greatest, and Thanksgiving wasn't the greatest, and her deal was, I raised her never to be a quitter, and I quit her when I threw in that towel. I didn't quit her. I just couldn't take her seeing my little girl, beat down like that anymore. She wants to blame me, fine. So she talked about she wasn't ever going to wrestle for me again and all this kind of stuff. But we got it smoothed out. It's not the way it used to be, but I think we got it smoothed out. Her surgery, she still got that big, bar in there and all that stuff. But I think she's going to be fine, but I don't really know. Meanwhile, everything's going good. Well, it's a family business. I own this along with my wife. Miss Hyde's a part owner. My other daughter, they are a part owner with her husband. It's a family business. This is truly, everyone in my family works on for ACW and does a part of it. And we all agreed we miss it, and we want to come, and we miss the fans. You read this right here. And this is our logo. This is our new slogan, where the fans come first. And that's how it's always been. And that's the way it should be. So, February 25th, in our best town, St. Clair, Missouri, the Holy Trinity Church, we're coming back. We got a lot of shows. And every one of them is repeat shows. You're doing right when you're going back to the same town, same buildings, and they're calling you. I don't call these people. They call me. And we're going to add some new stuff. And this is probably going to be one of the best years of ACW ever. And new people were coming in. Some people were moving out because you can't have the same thing. I don't want to be enemies with anybody. It's business. You got to have a fresh product. So we got to bring new people in. We're getting more people from Tennessee, Kentucky. I want to bring the wrestlers from other states in here that no one has ever seen before. Like I said, I made nothing neater Derek Teeter commissioner, which he blew his knee out at one of my shows on a lockup, and we're about to release a video interview with him talking about that, and that's an amazing story there too. But we're trying to give the fans everything. Look, I watch my shows, and I go and I listen to the crowd, and if someone gets over, or if somebody says, "Hey, I want to see this," or if a fan says, "You know what I want to see? I want to see Rough Cut Rick Ruby do this and this and that." 9 times out of 10, Searcher's going to make that happen because I listen to the fans, because that's my boss. In ACW, there's only one boss. That's me. But I have the biggest boss of all, which is the fans. I do whatever they tell me to. I don't do anything that for my own, jollies. And Rough Cuff can tell you that. I don't book my buddies. I don't put my buddies over. I do what the fans like. If the fans don't, I've told a couple of my friends, it's not working. Either change your gimmick to what I think would work for you, or we can't work together. And that's hard to do. And I don't want to lose friends. Like, if you're unhappy, I just recently told a couple of people, if you're unhappy, I don't want you working for me because I don't want to lose you as a friend. But everyone in this business, man, it's like the second you do business with them and they don't, and you stop using the N word. When you start using the N word, which is no, they're your friends and they love you when you're saying yes. But when you say no, all of a sudden you're a jerk and you're a prick, and he never was not very nice to me, and that's just childish. Be quiet, go away for a while, and when you come back, maybe we can do even bigger business. God, man, that's how it should be. I don't know why there's enemies in this, but there is. So bigger and better. February 25th, St. Clair, Missouri. All tickets $6. Dan the Beast 7 will be there. If you want Dan the Beast 7 to do a seminar with you or come to your business or whatever, just contact us at acwtheshow.com. So it's going to be great. I mean, it's going to be some really, really, really exciting stuff. The show is going to be fantastic. I guarantee you we're going to blow the doors off that place.
Yep. And as we were last time we were there, we had a really good capacity crowd. Action. Well, the last time the Russians were sent back to Moscow or wherever the hell they were, I think they're Putin's personal mop boys, whatever now, but whatever the case may be.
Yep. Yeah. that video in I haven't checked it recently, but I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks after that, the video of them being loaded on the back of that flatbed truck and drove away, I think was somewhere around 35,000 people had watched that thing. And I'm just like, why? But they hated those guys for damn sure, man. But we got a couple of things going on that ACW is pretty. Man, we got some trainee people coming up that's just going to set the world on fire. So it's going to be pretty good.
Nice.
Nice, yeah. So I think it's because they just don't want the Russian. They don't want Russians in the U.S. that are not supposed to be here. But that's just...
Well, I'm announcing it tonight, February 25th. A new wrestler will be there. He's called the Chinese Blimp Spy, and he's going to float to the ring. He's going to drop his halo.
No.
Get the 1, 2, 3, and then just as he gets to the entranceway, as he's floating, a new wrestler called F-15 is going to blow his ass out of the sky. So, yeah.
And then local authorities will come up and pick it up for evidence, and then scan it, and then and then we go from there.
Not before I sell the pictures.
Right. So,
it's just a weather balloon.
Oh. Yeah. Oh,
the string broke. What's going on? The string broke. That's probably going to float to America. Oh, we're getting blamed for that. Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah.
Right. Of course. Right. So, Getting on to another topic, really, of course, to the business. And like I said, everybody, I've preached about it before. You were the first inductee to the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame, first class in 2015. You were the only inductee, and then you decided to carry on this banner for the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame, which I have luckily and honored to be part of the 2020 class, and a really, really good class. I mean, just a lot of guys that really have gotten the recognition, at least gotten recognized to where they are a really good class, really good class of people. Um, so I mean, I guess I want to ask here is we haven't heard anything yet about a class of 2022 yet. We've actually I've had a few people ask around about that, but do you have any information in regards to the class of 2022 coming up? And if so, what can you tell us?
That's another rough subject.
I got you.
When I first started that thing, uh, everyone came. Every federation, everybody from everyone came. And over the years, um, people, there's drama in everything. It's so funny. I was at a blues jam a couple weeks ago, and there was drama. One guy was playing too loud, and another guy said, "I'm leaving because he's playing too loud, and I can't hear myself." And I big smile on my face, and my wife looks at me. She goes, "What are you smiling about?" I said, "There's drama in everything. I mean, there's probably drama in church. I'm a better preacher than you. Jesus likes me more. You know."
There's definitely drama in the LBC, but
Yeah, exactly. So, so I just miss so many people that was involved in that. That's in that. And when we have the ceremonies and it was never meant for it to be. It was meant to be a reunion. Frank Reed. I stole the idea from two people. Uh, Frank Reed, I think in 2014, just called a whole bunch of us that used to work for him and got us all at a bandanas and and he gave everybody, because in the old days when you made flyers, you actually took real pictures and you taped them onto a piece of paper with fonts of where it was. It was a lot harder. They didn't have computers, and you would put it on the you would put the piece of paper with the writing and the pictures onto the scanner, and you would scan that, and that's how you made your flyers. So Frank brought everyone these yellow envelopes with all their pictures that he had of them that he would use from time to time from all those flyers. So basically, Frank cleaned out his basement, and he was giving all. So he's like, I need to have a party to get rid of this junk. So it was such a good time. And I said, man, we need to do this every year, because so many of us don't see one another. Wrestling. If you get hurt or if you drop out of it or something like that, your phone's ringing off the hooks especially if you're a booker or a champion, or if you're a promoter, your phone rings all the time. Hey, what's going on? Hey, buddy, how you been? Hey, boss, what's going on? But as soon as you're out of the business, it's crickets, you know. And and then I was like, that sucks. So I was like, Frank had a good idea there. And then Xavier Frost and a couple of people decided to make up a Hall of Fame and put me into it just as a one night thing, just to say, hey, Searcher, we appreciate everything you've done for us. And I go, well, hell, that's a good idea. So I talked to, a couple of people, and that's why I started the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame, because, St. Louis had their Hall of Fame, but everything's cliquish. You know what I'm saying? You're only going to see certain people go into certain Hall of Fames. And I wanted guys that from all the federations that probably would have never been in any Hall of Fame, but they still went out there and they put up the ring, and maybe they were a referee or a manager or took tickets or wrestled only for 2 or 3 years, or they wrestled for 10 years and never really got anything, but they had a good heart. And they never got any credit. They never really got anybody to say thank you for what you did in the ring. And the Hall of Fame was supposed to be that. That's why a lot of people were just like, well, who picks these names? Because such and such should be in there, and this person needs to be in there. Well, who picks the names is the people who's already in the Hall of Fame. So the best way to get in that Hall of Fame is to come to the ceremony, because I find that when you come to the ceremony, people go, oh, I remember you now. I'm going to vote for you. That's how a lot of people get into it. But you're never going to get into the Hall of Fame if you just are real bitter about it and think that they're going to put you in there just because you bitch enough. It doesn't work that way. But I mean, I'll tell you a story. It was I'm not going to say the person, but they had passed away, okay, or were about to pass away, and the names had already been released. Who, I can't remember the year this happened, but the names had already been released. And Frank Reed calls me. He's like, "You've got to put him in. I cannot believe nobody has voted for him. He's got to go in. You've got to change it. You're the president. You've got to do it. You got to change it." So as he's talking, I'm flipping through the votes because everybody gives 10 votes, or 10 names, and then that breaks down to 5 by if there's 10, if we had 10, if we had 10 Hall of Famers, we had 100 names, and then we went to like if Ruby was on their 7 list, he had a number 7, so he would be pretty high, so he would probably go in. And if Jimmy John had only 1 vote or 2, he probably wouldn't go in. But lately, because there's so many in the Hall of Fame, you could have a 2 or 3 and still go in the Hall of Fame, because it's so people don't, we don't talk about the names. People just send in their names randomly, and I think it's better that way. But anyhow, he's like, "You've got to put him in there." And I'm looking through the names, and I look at his votes. I said, "Frank, you didn't even vote for him. So what are you yelling at me for?" But but I understood what he was saying. But I just don't think that you should just throw somebody into a Hall of Fame because 1, they complain, 2, something terrible is going on in their life. But if I can, I will do that because it would be nice to do. But as far as the Hall of Fame now, I don't know what I'm going to do. Many times I have made videos where I said I was going to resign as the president and have no more to do with it, because I put a lot into it, a lot of money and a lot of time, and I don't think anyone does it the way we do it. But I have received very little. Positive feedback to me on it. Like, there's lots of there's lots of Hall of Fames out there. Do you know how many Hall of Fames I'm in this area? None. My name never comes up. You know how many people are in my Hall of Fame, or our Hall of Fame, that are in other Hall of Fames, that are in charge of other Hall of Fames or big parts of it? My name never comes up. The thing is I'm not a squeaky wheel. I don't sing my song. I don't need to be in Hall of Fame. Like a lot of times in this Hall of Fame, if you see a video of it or something, I won't even put my year up there because it's not about me. It makes me, dude, I'm sorry. I just don't need I don't have an empty hole of I need to be praised. I hide at that Hall of Fame. And Ruby can tell you, I hide at that thing. I do the music. I produce it. I try my best to hide it. And when guys get up there and at the ceremony, I hear almost everybody get up there and they say, "Thank you, Searcher, for what you've done tonight," because it's that moment. But I hate that because it's about these guys, all these guys there. And man, me and Dan Severn talked about it. You see guys that haven't been in the business a long time and they can barely walk and in real bad health. And when they call their name, they can almost barely get out of the chair and they can barely get up to the podium. And then in a few seconds with the lights and when they're back to their old self, they're full of life again. I mean, Al Stevens, I mean, he turns into a madman like he used to because he's got the spotlight on him again. And that's what I love about the Hall of Fame. But as far as what's going to happen with the future of the Hall of Fame, I hate to tell you the bad news, guys, but they won. The negative people, the people out there that did it harm and for some reason turned against it and all that kind of stuff, you won. Because as far as the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame goes, it's going to go as always, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. And I'm going to make sure it keeps on going. So maybe they didn't win. So I will be releasing the names of the people going in real soon, and I will be telling you when the ceremony is again. But I will tell you, there are two names that I know. Well, I know all of them is going in right now, but I was going to say two names tonight to let everybody know, but I'm not sure I want to do that just yet. But if you ask me nicely, and if it's important to you, I might tell you.
Well, I mean, since I'm always nice to my guest here.
Yeah.
And I'm a good choir boy.
Yeah.
And considering that I am in the class, I'm not just the National Enquirer. It's that the inquiring minds want to know. It's almost not necessarily I need to know, but it's always nice to know who I can send a congratulatory message to on who's getting in and looking forward to seeing that person get their ring. Because it's always good to see it.
Who were we talking about the other day?
Oh my gosh. I was lucky to remember what I had for supper last night. Well, let's see.
We had a conversation about somebody talking to you.
Oh my God. There's like a handful of people. that we
Come on, Ruby. Think.
And I don't
He doesn't have hair anymore up there. It falls out like everything you talk about.
I mean, I may be saying the wrong name here. I don't want to say a wrong name.
Say a name.
We'll just strip yours if you say the wrong name.
Yeah, I'm so my office slash studio is a mess, and I seem to misplace mine right now, so it's not going to do any good. Hopefully I can it's in this vicinity. It's just it's hell. I actually have to take a week's vacation just to search and clean everything. You see what you see here? That's the cleanest part of the studio. Anyway,
are you panicking right now?
What just happened?
What are you having a stroke?
No, not yet. I don't know. I mean, there are guys on here. There is one guy on here that's actually here tonight that I know is in the room. And if I say his name and you say no, then I'm going to feel like a jerk.
Oh, Sutra is such a nice thing, dude.
Because let's tell you, the guy is on my list that I submitted for a name. That's what I'll tell you right now. So the guy that I'm thinking of is the Big Texan.
Even better.
Wow.
That's one. But see, like I'm saying, that may not be a name. Like I said, I may be calling out names of like, no, doofus, he's not going in. Or, I know one person we talked about that's not going in. So I know
Who?
that.
Man, why'd you hurt me?
I'm not saying the name on here.
Okay.
I think you and I both know. I mean,
I don't
been
know.
in every continental state to wrestle in, but I'm just saying.
I forgot about that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yes, Big Texan is going in. Big Texan.
oh my, hey, he's in
And
here
the
now.
next and the next one, Bishop Stevens.
Ooh, two
Long
really good
overdue.
ones.
Yeah.
Two really
Yep.
good ones.
Yep. Yep. Long
I
overdue.
like
Long
both of
overdue.
those dudes.
Yeah. I mean, I think Bishop has had some health issues lately, and like I said, these names now, there's so many that it's fair. It's you can get just a few votes and get in it now. So yeah, yeah. So there you go. Nice little exclusive right there. We got two more that will be going in. We have a memorial that will be going in too. So I'll let that who else is going in, and when the ceremony is going to be on that, I'll let everybody know pretty soon.
Right
So
on.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff.
Oh,
So, yep.
there we go.
So you heard it here first.
mhm.
You heard it here. And we're going to let that sink in as we'll throw that as the ticker here.
Because Texan and him both are so humble. Those guys are. Well, I wouldn't say Bishop's the humblest guy in the world, but
But
he
he
is
actually
humble.
is he's actually at the same time he actually is.
He is humble about stuff like this. He'll tell you everything he's ever done, every role, everything. Uh, you know, uh, I was in that Viagra commercial. I was in that headache commercial. I was in this. But he won't.
Competition was stiff for the Viagra
It
commercial.
was
So
stiff. Yeah, yeah. But he'll. But he's not a guy, dude. He's a guy, and Big Texans say, "Well, I can say it about both these guys. These are two guys that put so much into other people that they do stuff such nonchalantly when they're helping other people. Because Steve got me in Memphis Power Pro. I would never went to Memphis Power Pro if it was from Steve Sharp or Bishop Steve. Uh, but both of
what's
those guys help out people, and most people don't even say that they helped them out and they did things for him because they're so humble. They're like almost forgotten, and they don't need to be forgotten. That's why the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame exists. People don't need to be forgotten. So I'm very proud of that. So
Yep, absolutely. Z, you're up, my friend.
Yes, yes. So after this great announcement and two deserving candidates, in my opinion, two deserving men, um, you did a show a while back in 2019 up my way, just about 25 miles in Hannibal, Missouri, with the great likes of Dr. Tom Pritchard and the one and only, the mayor of Knox County himself, Kane.
mm-hmm.
What goes into a show like that when you do more southern Missouri? And what's the obstacles to getting those two men together in that building for what was an amazing show? Unfortunately, I had to miss it, but
It was. It's funny. I was talking to Ruby about this. No one ever asked me about that. How like the two of the biggest names ever in wrestling, and it really goes under the wayside that I did a show with. Name me somebody that's done shows with Kane. Name me anyone who's done anything with Kane. I mean, there's just nobody, and it's pretty cool. I had to talk him into doing his first Q&A. He did not want to do that, and it's so funny because you sit there. I'm standing there with him, and he's like, "What's this Q&A thing?" He's very grumpy. He doesn't like. I'm going to put it on the record. Glenn Jacobs does not like me very much. He tolerates me because my best friend Marcus Mansfield is his best friend, and I know Glenn through him. So he does not like me very much. So that day though, I was like, he goes, "What's this Q&A thing?" And I'm like, Glenn, I'm gonna put the chair in the middle of the ring. All those people paid extra. You're going to sit in the ring, and we're gonna have somebody walk around with a microphone, and they're gonna ask you questions, and you just. And he cut me off. He's like, I've never done that. I don't. And no. And he goes into like a. He is so big, and he's such. I. It's huge. He's a legend. He's unlike anybody else. He goes right into a 14-year-old kid. I don't want to do that. I'm going to be terrible at it. He did. I'm not kidding you. He did the whole put his arm around my shoulder, and I don't know who we were whispering it from because there was lots of people around, but none of them was next to us. And he's like, I don't want to do that. Don't make me do that. And I'm just like, just do it, please, because they paid for it and they want it, and I can't give the money back because I'm screwed here if I do. So he goes up there. He sits in that chair, hand to God. I have it all on video. It was one of the best things I've ever seen. And he says, the hand to God, he says, that was one of the most enjoyable things I did. I said, you're a politician. It's the same thing. What do you do when they ask you to make a speech as a politician? Do you look at him and say, I don't want to do that? No. He was so good at it. And Dr. Tom and Glenn were the most gracious people. They sat where the people could see them the whole time. They did not go there for a few minutes and then leave. They hung out the whole show. Glenn took pictures with everybody, did anything. Tom did a seminar. Tom kills me. So we flew Glenn in, okay? And I'm pretty sure I think Vince paid for that too. But anyhow, Glenn flew in, and it's the day before this, or like 2 days before this, and I talked to Tom, and now see, Vaughn, Miss Hyde trained with Kane and Dr. Tom, so she's good friends with him, especially Tom. She's really good friends with him. Well, Tom calls me, and he doesn't talk to me as if because I'm talking to Tom like, Tom, I look up to you, man. Whatever you want, I can do. He's like, okay, when's my flight and where's my ticket and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just like, I'm not flying you in. I don't have the money to fly you in. Glenn said you would drive it. And he goes, in his voice, it's great. He goes, hold on. And he hangs up. I don't know if he meant hang on and he tried to put me on hold, or he just like his idea of I'm going to hang up now and you better hang on. So Tom calls me back and he goes, I'm going to fly or I'm going to drive. And I said, I'll pay for your rental car, buddy. Because I feel bad about this. I'll pay for your rental car. And he goes, you don't have to do that. I go, Tom, I'll do it. Don't worry about it. Oh, I will. He goes, I just want you to know I hate driving. He goes, man, I've been on the road my whole life. I've drove my whole life. And he started telling, and I'm like, I've been there too. I know what you're talking about. He's got a bad back. And a lot of people don't know this, but Tom's got cancer. Tom's had cancer for like 15 years. I can't remember exactly the type of I can't remember the type of cancer he has, but it's manageable and controllable, but a lot of people don't know that, and it can be uncomfortable. But he's like, man, I don't want to drive, I haven't driven in a long time, and all this kind of stuff. So then Mark calls me, and he says, hey, he's laughing. He says, Glenn calls me, and he says, Tom called him and said, hey, man, I thought you said they were going to your buddy was going to fly me down there. And Mark said, Glenn told him, I never told you that. I got my flight. You're on your own. So Tom's like, I got to get down there somehow. But here's the best part of that little story. I get there, we go to the hotel, and Tom comes to the show. And okay, so I screwed up. The custodian, I told everybody we're going to be at the venue at 9:00. And the custodian I told 10 o'clock. So it's cold. I have all my wrestlers, all my people, and Dr. Tom standing in this parking lot for an hour. So we're all standing there, and I'm like, oh, this is not going well. And Tom starts going about, man, you have no idea what a great trip I had. I found all these old radios or radio stations with old music, and I was singing the whole time down. This is a great trip, and all this kind of. And then even after he got back, he's like, because I gave him extra. I was able to give him a lot of money. I mean, we made a lot of money on that show, so I gave him extra, which is what you're supposed to do as a good promoter. If a show goes good and you make money, guys, that was my biggest. You have no idea how much money I really made on that show, but it's a deal with no one else has the deal that I had with Glenn, and it has nothing to do with me. It had to do with Mark Morton, Marcus Mansfield, because without Marcus Mansfield, none of this would have happened. Well, none of it would have happened. So, but it was a great deal. But we made really good money on that. But I paid him extra, and we paid Glenn extra. And you do what you do. And we had a bunch of those planned. And then Mark had passed away. But the thing of the matter of it is that the complexity of that day, because I didn't just have a wrestling show to put on. I had a meet and greet, a seminar. I had a Q&A. I had a news station there that was interviewing all of them, everybody. I had several newspaper people there to interview him and all that. And every single thing from the door to the back to the locker room to the music, everything was pointed right at me. Because Mark was really sick and he really couldn't do much. And that day, it was one of the most hardest. There's a picture of me and Glenn and Mark, and I'm about 6'3", 6'3 and a quarter, and Mark's about 6'1". So I'm just a little taller than Mark, and Glenn is 6'8", I think, 6'9". There's a picture with me and Glenn and Mark, and I'm at one of the pictures on my normal height. But most of the pictures, it's like the weight of the world is on me. I'm like 5'11". I was so tight and so stressed out all day. But that's what the things I live off of. I always say when I'm doing something really, really hard and it's the worst of it, I say, one day you'll look back at this and say, this is what made it good, because I was able to power through this and make it good. And like I said, Glenn Jacobs said it was very professional. He loved every minute of it. It was very professional. It was very well done. He was shocked about how well it did go because he was worried that it wasn't going to be good. And it was really good. I'm very proud of that. Very, very proud of that. And once again, here's a funny story about Herb Simmons. Herb comes to the show, I invite him to the show, and Tom walks over and Tom goes, Herb? Herb goes, Tom. I'm like, this son of a bitch knows everybody.
The crazy thing is, like, for me, I literally, something came up family wise that I could not make the show because Glenn is my personal favorite out of the Brothers of Destruction. I never really was a Taker fan. Like, to me, Kane was the better. But
what the hell is wrong with you? They're both great.
No. Oh, that's not what I meant by any means.
Okay.
I love Taker. Just Kane was the cooler of the two for me. Like, I was more of a Kane fan than Taker. That's it.
Gotcha.
Love them both. But
now I get it.
The cool thing most people don't know is Glenn grew up just shortly down from Hannibal in Bowling Green and stuff, and went to QU and stuff. So, like, it was a great come together.
He's from your area, then.
Yeah,
He's from your area.
Yeah.
And it's very funny about him because the first time I ever met Glenn Jacobs was in a locker room in Hannibal, Missouri, and he had just came out as Kane. He'd been out as Kane. Well, this was 98. When did he come out as Kane? Was it 96? 97?
Yeah, 97.
So 98, he was in a locker room with me. I got video of him in the locker room with us. And he was at his peak, and he could not go anywhere. where he wasn't, mobbed, but his own town, he'd drive or get out somewhere and people still had that, like, hey, Glenn, what's going on? I ain't seen you in a while. It's kind of weird, like, don't you know who this is? And the guy's like, yeah, man, I went to school with him. Get the hell away from me. Who are you? But it's just really cool that he had that tie. But he lives in Tennessee now. He's and he's a Tennessee boy, but he still hasn't forgot his roots. And I was very proud of bringing him in and being able to do that. It was a homecoming for him. We had a huge, bigger show planned too, but then the pandemic happened. We had Glenn goes, hey, do you think Scott and Kevin would draw? And I didn't know what he was talking about really at first, because I'm like got stuff in my head and I'm thinking, who the hell is Scott and Kevin? Because I'm looking at like the concession stands not ready or something. I'm like, who's Scott? And I thought he meant that day. I'm like, you're bringing your brothers in or something? He goes, no, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. I go, you mean to do another one like this with you? And he goes, yeah. He goes, they'll come in really, really cheap for me, and they'll come in. And I'm just like, I think it would probably go okay, but I don't know. We'll think about it. And as I was walking away, I'm going, fucking shit, that would be really fucking good. Jesus Christ. Yes, please.
Good shit right there.
But then he's like, hey, Searcher, are you sure? What do you think? You want me to call him? Oh, yeah, if you want. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to go over. Sure. And I turn around again. Oh, fuck yeah, please call him. So, yeah. But yeah. I mean, my dream to end that whole thing, and I let the cat out of the bag. I said, my dream is we do the 3 or 4 shows, bringing in different names, but I'm the biggest Taker fan. And my dream was to bring Taker to Missouri. Wish only I know, and maybe one other person, maybe only one other person in the business knows this. But people don't realize that Taker is closer to you than you know, especially the last year or so. I'm not going to go into what I know, but what I do know is Taker, the Undertaker, is a hell of a lot closer to every one of us than you know. So maybe you guys can figure that out.
That's a tree I want to sit under.
I'm just saying that some people, Missouri is a nice state. It really is.
It's a tree that I want to sit under.
It is really nice.
Makes me wonder now. Well, so one other thing that I'll touch on here, because we've talked a lot about wrestling, but during the whole pandemic, and I think a lot of us were trying to find hobbies or loves that we were doing to start up again, because no one was allowed anywhere or about doing anything, whatever the case may be. But you had started up your own podcast, of course, at that time with Miss Hyde. Now, I will say that actually because I actually had a long drive to Sedona, Arizona this past summer, and those shows got me through just listening to, and as I'm driving on the road, it's good stuff for those who don't know, and I don't know, but I mean, I don't know if they're still on Podbean or whatever the case may be. But
they are. We still get people, yeah.
Cool. Because I'm going to start downloading stuff again to make sure I'm not losing it. So I guess my question here is, what are the chances? I mean, probably right now, probably not better, but do you ever see the Search on Hyde podcast ever coming back? And if so, is there a particular topic that you have maybe possibly lined up that you want to discuss in one of your shows?
So many, it wasn't even funny. I've got people that really, those shows, I was shocked. I haven't done it in a while, but our biggest show was the Doubtfire murder show and the Ghostbusters show. And I don't know why, but the numbers on those 2 shows alone, I can't believe that many people listen to them. I just can't. And then when you go and look at the amount of people that had listened to those shows, I did it like a radio program. That's how I did it. And
You got both space for it, so
yeah, this hair, I don't have, yeah, haha. I don't have those Hollywood looks like you guys, you fuckers.
Oh Lord, please.
But I liked it. And we had such a blast. And Miss Hyde and me, we had such a blast. But Miss Hyde doesn't have time. She's not only is she a professional wrestler, she's a teacher. She goes to school for being a nurse. She has two kids. She is the busiest young lady ever, and we love those shows. And one of the shows that she wanted to do that we were going to do right before that was she was going to play me 911 calls that she already knew if they actually committed the crime or not. And I was supposed to guess just by the 911 call, if the guy or person killed the people or not. And I could not wait, but I just like, that is so cool,
Dude, that's gotta happen.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then the Hat Man show, that's another one too. I wanted to do a bunch of people. You probably do not know. If you listen to the show, you would know. We caught voices on that show. The Hat Man thing is something that's happened to probably 200. I think it was like 250,000 people only. But a man we all had the same story about the same guy coming to us when we were small children. And it's amazing to be a part of that, because my whole life has been weird, witchy, see a lot of stuff. Everything you could think of, I've experienced, and all that stuff started when I was little, when this guy showed himself to me. And I was listening to George Norrie one night, and this lady comes on, and she had wrote a book called The Hat Man, and I had no idea what she was talking about. Then all of a sudden she started talking about the same man that visited me from the look to everything he did. And I'm like just one of like 250,000 people in the 70s that this person came to. So that show was very, personal. But we had so many shows we did where we just couldn't put it up because I went on such a rant. And she's like, that's too political, or you're just insane, so we're not putting that show up. Because I would go off on that show sometimes. I don't know how they even kept it on. I thought they would cancel us, but apparently they can't cancel a podcast, so I don't know. But it was good. But I would love to do the podcast again. Maybe down the road, but at the same time, I really want to focus on ACW, and I got music, and I got my regular life. I'm so busy, I don't even know. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep track. It really is hard. And in Vaughn having such a busy life, it's hard for her to help me out with stuff too. So it gets even harder. So, but we just keep doing what we're doing. But yeah, man, I love that show, and you guys on it was great. It was fantastic. The Bigfoot stories, the ghost stories, the Bob Orton, when I interviewed him, he had a steam monster story. At the end of the show, no matter who I interviewed, I said, do you have any Bigfoot, ghost, sea monster, strange, weird thing that's ever happened, UFO, anything? I would ask the same question. And not one person said, well, I think it was one person who said, no, I really had nothing happen to me. But even Bob Orton had a story about a steam monster he saw in Florida when he was going over a bridge. He said it was just not normal. I mean, you would think it could be, you think it was a whale. The shit fucked me. It didn't look like one. So it's like, okay, all right, Bob. So, but I mean, I love those stories. And I would just comb the internet. And then people started sending me videos and audio of. So we did had some of the really. It was a really good show. It really was. But all good things must come to pass. So.
Yeah. I think I was going to say I think the podcast business is like the wrestling business. Never say never. But that's
facts.
True. I love the sound effects we had too. And Rick, the engineer, he's one of my best friends. And he has, he's back at working at Radio Shack again, I think. But he was really good because he really kept our sound good. He did all those sound effects. He's a liar because I'd go, that's a good bit, man, good sound effects, and then like I would be Vaughn would be telling like a really sad story, and he would he would have audio of like Ruby or one of our guests laughing. So in the middle of Vaughn telling this really sad story, all of a sudden you hear this laughter. Now, for us in the studio, there was nobody there, but to the people listening, they had to think, who's this asshole laughing about this terrible story? And I'm like, that's really good, Rick. And then I find out he just ripped it off from the Howard Stern show because that's what Jackie used to do, or Howard used to do when Robin would tell a sad story. They would have audio of Jackie laughing. So, but still, it was funny, because hey, if those people didn't hear the Howard Stern show, we're fucking geniuses. So there you go. So,
I mean, I love the little guitar serenade you had every time she told that everybody sing along.
God, sad story time. God, man,
Yeah.
I mean, you would have the greatest day. You're like, man, woke up this morning, man. I worked out. And I feel really healthy, and the wife was, she was horny, and I got her really good, and the boss gave me a raise, and man, today's just the greatest day of my life. And she'd be like, my life sucks. I hit a dog on the way home. My kids don't listen to me, and I think I'm going to flunk out of nurse's class. But you just be happy there, Dad. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And by the way, I'm broke. So, take me out to eat.
Well, man. Well, go ahead and look for the Searcher and Hide podcast, and that's at podbean.com. Podbean.
It's all over.
.com. Is it still all over? Because I don't think I found it on Apple Podcast anymore.
It's on Spotify. It's really weird that you can just say your name on Spotify. Like hey Google, oh shit, don't you do it, Google. You just and then you can listen to the episodes, and like I don't find it narcissist to listen to myself talk or watch my old wrestling videos. I get off of myself, so I like it. I'm like, man, you were really cool, Searcher. And then, who's your favorite wrestler, Searcher? Secretly, me. But nah, it was a good time.
Oh man, like I said, I mean that's. Yeah, go and check it out if you want to hear some good stories, something that's very informative. Well, I mean, it can be informative, but it's also about, I guess, I almost want to say conspiracy theories, but
Don't call us that. Don't call us that.
Don't.
Yeah, that's
almost like saying you people, but
yeah, it is. It hurt. It doesn't hurt actually. It's just dumb. There's just so much to this world. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're right, man. So much of this, I know what you're going to say. So much of this world doesn't make sense. And I was never a big conspiracy guy, but I got to be honest. You listen to some of that 411 stuff and some of the UFO stuff and all that stuff. That stuff will put you in a bedroom and locking the door and never coming out.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready.
We had some really strange things go on. Like when I worked at the power plant, we had drones there. Okay. And one thing I used to tell people was like, I've seen everything from Bigfoot to ghosts to everything. But the one thing I never seen was a UFO. I've seen things, but I did, you can't sit there and go, well, that was a UFO. It's kind of like a light, maybe a satellite or something. Well, we had drones and stuff out at the power plant. And for a long time, they're like, these are as big as a house. We used to have, Blackhawks that would just on the perimeter, they're making sure nobody's around. It was a very high security place. Anyhow, one night it was me, a guy, trooper. It was me, and a guy I called Trooper was a state trooper, one of the youngest state troopers in the history of Missouri, and he was a state trooper for 15 years. Another guy was Danny Monroe. He was he was a cop, he was a detective, and a DEA agent undercover for 11 years. And then there was another guy who I think was a pastor. and my partner that I worked with, Tim, and we're standing waiting to go inside the plant. And the pasture guy goes, Johnny goes, what is that? And I don't know if you've ever been to or seen the pictures of the Lavity power plant, but it's huge and the stacks are very tall. There was, I'm not kidding you. I'm not exaggerating. Every one of us would tell you the same thing. And I have some video of it. There was it was where a triangle shaped vehicle that was okay. That facility is probably a mile wide all the way around in a circle. It's a big place with the coal piled up. They have enough coal there for 6 months, so it's really piled up high, and they have this giant electrical plant, and they have big fields around it. So it's probably a mile and a half facility. This thing was bigger. This thing was bigger than the whole plant. It was a city, and it was no more than 500 feet off the top of them stacks, coming right over the river, and it was not a sound. In fact, I could hear the wind that it was cutting through. It was not only one of the strangest things that's ever happened or I've ever seen in my life, but I've been through some serious shit, and it was pretty terrifying because I thought it was the end of days for a few seconds there. We didn't know what to do. And you know what's really weird about that though is we all just got on our little carts and went back and never really spoke about it until like 3 or 4 o'clock was work night. That night, all of a sudden we all kind of gathered, and it was like we were so shocked we couldn't even talk about it until like 3 or 4 o'clock. And we're like, what the hell was that? It was very strange. So that's a big reason why that podcast, I never got to do my Bigfoot stories or that story, but I miss doing that podcast because I got to meet a lot of people that experience stuff like me. And I got to talk about wrestling and stuff too. It was great. So good memories of that. Conspiracies still do exist.
Oh yeah. Giants are real too.
Double row teeth giants. I
just like Bray Wyatt too. The Draconians are real too. The reptile people. Just wait.
Dude, there's lots of stuff out there that I don't know if anything's not real. That's what I say anymore. What is not real? You know?
Well, okay, so talking about all this kind of stuff, okay, what's not real? Let's talk about something that we don't want to see come real anytime soon. Mr. Herb Simmons' question here on how is it when you're going to know it is the end in this business? Is it going to be you leaving this earth, or are you going to wind it down ever?
I will tell you this. I think about that all the time, and I go back to one person every time when I think about, because I haven't wrestled in a long time, and I wrestled down in my training center with the trainee guys. I want to get back in the ring. I want to wrestle for ACW. I want to have fun. And when it comes to people saying, because people ask you, when they get to gray like this, people used to say to me, when you're going to give that up? You're beating your body down. And when you're going to retire? And exactly what you're saying. And in Herb's case, when is he going to give up the fact that he's been in it for 50 years and more than that, and he's been chugging. He's got more energy than most 25-year-olds. I mean, he works harder than any promoter I know. He's the promoting machine. I don't know what everyone should look at Herb, what he's doing with this show coming up. That's good for business. If you don't sit there and say that's good for my business, for his business, for your business, for all of us, that all these names are coming in around here, and those names are going to go, if it's a great show, which it will be, they're going to go, St. Louis is the place to be again. But because they're not they don't understand. You don't have to be the one putting on the show to benefit from the show. You know what I'm saying? So what Herb is doing is phenomenal for us. People just don't understand that. But as far as the when do you give it up, I'm going to go to the one person I always think about, and that's Bob Orton. I've had so many conversations with Bob. You know, I go, Bob, you know, we're gonna go. Me and Bob would go and wrestle, and if Bob could, you know, he still gets in the ring. He still wants to be a part of it. And he used to say to me, we used to travel a lot together, and he'd talk about his dad and talk about how, you know, why do you want to put a limitation on yourself? Like people come down on Ric Flair for wrestling that match, you know. If Ric Flair wants to die in the ring, oh, I'll put it like this: go watch Rocky Balboa and the speech he makes to the state when they wouldn't give him a boxing license, and he talks about stuff left in the basement, and he goes, "I understand the older I get, the more stuff I got to leave behind, but who are you to tell me what I can't do? It's my life, and if I want to do it, let me do it. And if that's the way I go out, that's the way I go out." So I don't think you should ever put a limit on yourself. If you can get back in the ring, get back in the ring. Just be careful. Don't hurt yourself. If Herb can keep running for another 10, 20 years, it's what makes you happy, Herb. Why give it up? Keep going. Because what you do is a positive. And people starting up their own federations out there, go for it, man. It's your dream. Even if I don't like even if, just don't be a jerk, though. Know your
Amen.
role. Stay in your own area. Build up your own thing. But don't let anybody take away your dreams. And don't put it. And the people that take away most of our dreams is ourselves because of our self-doubt. So keep going.
Amen.
Amen. Man. Like you said, I mean, tonight has just been one great story and also a great insight of what you put out in front of us as far as like with this business and also with you know, just not just inside the industry but outside the industry, and then also sharing what, you know, the complications you came across, you know, with ACW. Because I mean, I'm here to tell anybody, I could not, because I wanted to help out because I had no idea. I mean, that's how closed in Searcher was keeping this, and because I knew something was going on, and it just, to me, honestly, and I'll say here on the show, it was wrenching me inside because I knew that family was going through things, and there was nothing I could have done, but I wanted to. And I mean, I'm glad that you came out and told something here tonight. I didn't really know how dire that was, but I'm glad that you, at least you put it out here tonight. And I definitely, you know, I mean, not that I have all the respect in the world for it, but you just keep adding on to it because, you know, you're putting yourself out there. Um, and, you know, and I'm glad. I'm hoping Val is doing fine. I'm hoping she's progressively getting better. You know, it sucks what Miss Hyde had gone through, and I know that, you know, heck, if I took 43 chair shots, shoot, my mom would probably throw in the towel after I took two. You know, it's like,
That's
you
my
know, I could have done my baby boy. You know, you know, but I mean, 43 chair shots. I mean, my goodness, it's not that, you know. She's tough. She could take her own. You know, but you know, I'm hoping that she can kind of see past this eventually, and yeah, everybody gets on the same page because, you know, you got to rely and lean back on those who uh who push through in this business. And if it's sometimes not your family, sometimes your close friends will help you get by. So, um, but man, but just a lot of great stuff. I'm rooting for one day the podcast to come back and she can pull herself together. I know she gets busy too. We all are busy. Heck, you know, I got so many things going around what I'm doing here, but I'm lucky to come back here every Sunday night to try to bring whatever I can here to the fans. So
And a lot of people don't know you've experienced a lot of the same things I've gone through with your loved ones too. I
oh
mean,
yeah, of course.
And that was what you all just said right there is very elegant, man. Very nicely said. I appreciate you talking and what you just said there. Very nice, Ruby. You guys, you guys are super, super professional. You open the platform to everybody. You talk about everybody, and you do it positive. You're once again, you guys are good for business. So you guys should be proud of yourselves. So
Yeah. And we want to promote the positive. We really do. You know. I mean, if I think you're scum, I mean, there's reasons why I don't contact you. But but hey, I mean, clean the scum up, then maybe we'll talk. But it, you know, like I said,
And a notion on hold on, Ruby. Just a notion on that. Like, if you were somebody that wasn't always the best, it doesn't mean you're always going to be that way. So, like, don't beat yourself down either. Keep yourself going. Keep yourself going. Just keep it clean and respect everything. Just keep it going, and things will get fixed for all of us if we all can just work on ourselves and support each other on the way.
yeah, absolutely. Herb says it all the time. He'll work with anybody. He tries so hard to reach an olive branch out to everybody, and so many times that thing comes back scorched. He's helped so many people. Well, I said it in a post I did not too long ago on Facebook. I don't get on Facebook and stuff anymore unless it's for AC. I don't. Social media is terrible. But I put we had talked. There was something that happened, and I put this post out there. Now I rarely ever let anybody know what I'm thinking. That's the reason why. I think that's the reason why, like, people say to me, it's funny. They talk to me and stuff, and they're like, you know what, man, you're a really nice guy. I've always heard you were a dick, and you were really, really mean, and you're really hot tempered, which I am hot tempered, but I've always heard you're really, like, not a nice person, but you're really cool. And the thing is it's like everything in life. The unknown is terrifying. And when you don't know very much of, like, there's a dark cave and you don't know what's in there, you know what we do? We start inventing what's in there. It's a grizzly bear that's going to eat me, or it's a monster that lives in there. When in actuality, it's probably a stupid cave with nothing in there but dirt and rock. You know what I'm saying? So I think Herb talks about this too. There's just no communication. And I had a trainee, well, not trainee, Justin Main Event. We was training today, one of the hardest workers there is. He said, why can't all the federations in this area and in other states get together and say, I'm doing this with this guy, you're going to do this with that guy, so I'll help you promote this and I'll help you promote him, and then when we get done with this series, we'll shoot them over to you and you shoot them over to us, and we'll help one another, and it'll be a cyclone of money, of happy
Use social
fans.
media to the level.
Huh?
A way to use social media to the right level.
But nobody will do that. Nobody wants to. People try so hard to invent problems. They make their own problem. This is one of my most favorite sayings I've been saying a long time, but lately a lot. There's a whole lot of people out there pissed at me for things they did. I can't help you. I can't change the way you're thinking. I can't change the things you invent. I'm going to tell you, if I got a problem with you, I'm going to tell you exactly what the problem is. And I'm going to do what I can to rectify that problem. Either change you, change me, or us separate. But for some reason, this business is just full of guys that just can't have a good ending. Ronnie Garvin once told me, man, I've been dropping so many names. I got to pick those things up later. But anyhow, Ronnie Garvin once told me, he said, Vince McMahon is really big on a finish. And he's like, if he fires you, you're gone forever. You'll never come back. And I'm thinking to myself, Ronnie, I didn't tell Ronnie, but I'm like, he's brought everybody back but you. So, you can get in a fight with one another and disagree and separate from one another for a long time. But you should also be able to like say, "Hey, man, that was pretty dumb," or "Hey, what did we fight over again?" You know. But that doesn't happen in this business. People just people just they're vipers, man. They just people they say they're your friend, they say they're trying to help you, or they accept your help and stuff, and a lot of times they just don't have any loyalty whatsoever. And that's the biggest thing about push and championships. Dusty Rhodes was the booker and the champion, and people are like he booked himself to be the champion. Dusty, da, da, da. You put the belt on the most reliable guy you can trust. You push the people that you know is going to be there. That's on the day of the show, and you got the title on them, or you got a big match. They don't call you up and say, "Yeah, I'm not going to be there." Like there's a young wrestler in the area I really really like. I used him several times, but he came up to me at another show, and I had him booked for a long long time. And he goes, "Searcher, you know that show I got you on, or you got me on? Can I please, 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 drop that booking because this federation I'm here tonight said they want to put the tag titles on me at this other show. So can I please, please, please get out of your booking so I can go to that because I really want that title?" And I go, "Man, go for it. I would do it too. That title means a lot. Go for it." But that's the worst thing you could ever have done because it probably would have went. I had all kinds of plans for that guy, but because he did that, I haven't used him since. So, and you know what? He didn't even get the tag titles at that other place. I mean, he shot himself in the foot, but he's a young guy, new to the business, so I don't have any. I mean, I would use him again, but I'm not going to reach out because we go right back where how we belong, how we started this thing about respect. He should know by now that was wrong to do. But he should also know that, man, like, give it. You never know. Pick up the phone and call him because maybe he can get it worked out. But it's called respect. If you show me that you learned your lesson, then we can work together. But I don't need any more vipers. I like a nice locker room where everybody's getting along. I like a nice show. Like Al Bundy used to tell me all the time. He goes, "Dude, you're the best one in the business. You don't want to screw nobody over. You don't. You do it for the fun, and you're just it, man. ACW is number one. I love that man. That man, he was great. But even he would tell you there's people in this business that you just can't work with. And he liked everybody. He was friends with everybody, but there was people he held grudges against. But there's very few people that just are who they say they are. Most people cloak themselves to a mask or an alternate character. I try to be as truthful as I can, and a lot of times it just rubs people wrong. I used to say, tell the truth is Native American for prick. I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you the truth, man. So, I mean, I don't have to. I don't think I should have to sugarcoat anything. So.
Well, I mean, there's being nice, and then there's just taking the sugar jar and then just dumping it and being just. So I mean, you can do a little sprinkle. I mean, some people some don't even do anything. They spray vinegar on. Like what? you know,
Yeah.
they're kind of bitter with that, but
Yeah, they do, Ruby, but there's been times when you've been down. Like I don't think I'm going to wrestle anymore. I don't want to do my podcast anymore. You get down. You've been down, and I try so hard because I don't want to be too much in your business, but don't ever take away the things that make you happy. But when you start inventing stuff, like you had real problems, but when you start inventing problems and making what once was really fun unfun, that's hard to be around. So I really don't want to be around those types of people. And unfortunately, there is a lot of those people in this business.
yeah, I get it. I get it. You know, um, sometimes things get tight. Sometimes you kind of wonder what to do. So, but I mean, it's just life for me.
What the hell does that mean? Sometimes things get tight, and then you just don't know what to
There's a
do.
lot
What do you
to
mean,
do.
like your pants or your shoes?
Well, that too.
Well,
but,
What are you talking? Sometimes it gets tight, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's loose.
Hey, I got to cut off.
Then I go to a
Oh.
Chinese restaurant, and then everything's fine. But what the hell?
Yeah.
Chinese
I
does
wanna-
sound good right now, about now.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. It does.
Maybe that word smell is COVID. I don't know, but
Are you
Sometimes-
drunk?
Sometimes
Are
with
you
you,
drunk
Ruby.
tonight?
Sometimes with you, Ruby.
Sometimes I think he is drunk. He's like, yeah, I'm the greatest wrestler of all time. Did I just say that out loud?
Yeah, right. Well, like I said, we've had quite a bit here tonight, and especially the announcements, of the first two members of the class of 2022 Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame, which is the Big Texan, which is toward the top of my list, and of course, Bishop Stevens will be being inducted as well. And so there probably will be a couple more. Like I said, if there's any news about the ceremony, we'll let the class know. But yeah, we'll just play that by ear, and you just need to get on and do the podcast again. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I know you got a lot going on. You got a lot going on. So.
As far as the ceremony thing, Ruby, I am looking to do something up towards St. Louis or Illinois this time because it's been down this way for so long. So, and I'm terrible with names. Alan for AEW or IEW.
Oh yeah,
AEW.
Alan Williams. Yeah.
He talked to me about a building that he could get really cheap and it would be a good idea, but it was a dry building where you couldn't drink alcohol, and that's not going to work for this Hall of Fame because Gary Jackson brings a lot of alcohol. So.
I mean, it'll work for you, but I'm just saying.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. It's not good when the president boos everybody goes up for. Okay, everybody's like, and now our next inductee, Rough Cut Rick Ruby, and you hear all these cheers, and then I'm like, boo, because I was too drunk. So, yeah, so I was very nervous that night.
It's difficult, but I get a boo amongst all claps, but I agree, that we can't rent out a church for
No,
for something like this.
it needs to be, but it does need to be. It does need to be something up that way, because people have traveled for so long. The reason we do Pacific is because it's so close. So easy to find. So easy to find, I should say.
Yeah.
But we'll do someplace new.
Yeah.
Right, man.
Cool deal. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm glad that you got on here tonight. Remember, ACW, February 25th in St. Clair. ACWtheshow.ticketleap.com is where they can get advance tickets, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
Gun
and
Shack.
Yeah. But
Or
hey,
where's the other place? There's another place too. Oh, I'm sorry. They're also available at Route 66, this and that resale.
Oh, yes. And where you can get just about every knickknack of the Lumberjacks there too, including a T-shirt.
That's my bread and butter. Shut up, man. Leave them alone.
And no, I'm just saying. And try that Slam Jam. Jump. All hyped on jam. So, a Slam Jam.
Whatever.
You're going to get your butt kicked. You're going to get cut down and processed into a 2x4. So.
Oh.
Just go take it to a hog car. Just saying. But no, it's
take us home.
Oh my God.
Where's my pen? Somebody hold the pen up.
No eraser. Holy Trinity Lutheran Church is where it is.
Yes.
At St. Clair. So,
yes.
bell times at 6, doors open at 5. I'll be on the card. There's 6 matches all in total. So come out, check it out, and you'll guarantee to have a good time. So, Searcher, I thank you very much for joining us here tonight. And I know we've been on here for a while, but hey, it's all been great. It's all been great. So, but join in next week because we're going to have at least one big name next week. So stay tuned to the Facebook page of Falls Count Everywhere. Also, hey, you can follow American Championship Wrestling on Facebook, acwtheshow.com for more information. Also, the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame has a Facebook page, so go ahead and follow that as well in case we find out any more announcements. So, once again, Searcher, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Great times as always, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here very soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Okay, thank you very much for having me on.
All right.
Thank you for being here, brother.
And for the people who hate me, I don't give a shit. See ya.
There you go. Got him. All right.
Next week, Rohit.
Yes, next week, the one name for sure, Rohit Raju, who is a former Impact X Division champion and who is now currently on the All Elite Wrestling roster, will be our guest for sure. There may be something more for you guys, but we can't let that cat out of the bag, but we'll see. So, but Rohit will be on for sure. So, y'all, thank you very much for staying up late. I know it's kind of a little bit longer than usual, but hey, it's all good conversation. It's all the good times. We thank y'all for coming out and to your computers, your phone, streaming devices, whatever, to watch us. And just remember to like and subscribe to all of our pages. Please, please, please. That's all I ask, at least for now. So for the Gem City Mouths, Zmiz, I am Rough Cut Rick Ruby. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening, and we will see you next week. And have a great Valentine's Day Tuesday. Much love to all of you, and have a good night, y'all.
Thanks again for tuning in to tonight's episode of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Don't forget our friends at the following: Outside the Ring STL, the Searcher and Hide podcast, and We Talk Wrestling. The Falls Count Everywhere podcast is an LTS Enterprises production.